The last earnings report from Bob Iger and the rest of the House of Mouse was supposed to be a point of celebration, despite the fact that none of the narratives seemed to pan out. People were saying, hey, it's time to shout, let's raise the roof when it comes to the stock price. Yet Mickey Mouse himself, well, he is having not a good time whatsoever. The stock is back down, and now we're trying to figure out how low can it go, and how much longer until people like Peltz say they've had enough. Well, folks, it is time for another video of excellence here on the WDW Pro channel as we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of that culture curve. We think that entertainment really does matter because it is the early indicator for where our culture, where our society is going. We've been paying very close attention to all of this, of course, and as well, when it intersects with the financial sector, well, we covered that too. In this case, we're watching closely what is going on with the Disney stock. And while we're not here to give you any kind of financial advice, by the way, seek out a proper financial advisor if you need assistance in that area, we are here to say that something strange is going on when the company is tickling its 5-year low following the person who was supposed to be the Mouse Messiah returning, that being Bob Iger. So what is going on when the King of Charisma cannot return and bring forth the revolution that was supposed to be Disney's stabilization? We had a chat about it. Let's join that conversation right now. It turns out that the Walt Disney Company stock has dropped now to a 5-year low, and this, of course, just happening as we were getting ready to go on with the show. So let's take a look at this real quick. There we go. Okay.
85.92, back to below $86 again.
All right, so let's walk everybody through this real quick and why this is such an important thing. And it goes to what many of you out there are questioning about Nelson Peltz and what's going to happen. So if we take a look here on March 20th, 2020, this is when things really shut down from the pandemic. And you can see that even in that amount of uncertainty on what was going to happen, you know, could the parks ever come back? You know, would they have to be closed for 6 months, a year, 2 years? We had no idea. Could people even go to movie theaters? Nobody knew anything. So the entire market crashed and Disney fell to $85.98. And then it steadily rose, and it got all the way up to almost $200 under Bob Chapek with the enthusiasm and perhaps overly enthusiastic investment regarding Disney+. Now, when Bob Iger came in, the assumption was that he was going to return Disney to a place of stability. But if we take a look, as of today, we'll go to the 1 day so everybody can see this better, because actually, aftermarket, it's getting worse. Ooh. It closed at $85.91. Now, that puts it at the lowest point. Now, in the aftermarkets, it dipped all the way down to $85.77. This means that not only has this thing hit the 5-year low, but also you may have seen in the press that people were very happy and pleased that there was the bump, right? The Wall Street bump coming out of that latest earnings report. That is gone now. That is completely evaporated. And I think that you're going to see tremendous pressure now on Bob Iger, considering what we're seeing. And I want to give a shout out to Jonas. Jonas, you actually called this. You said there's going to be a bump, and then that's going to be diminished. But boy, this is really going down. Let's turn it over to the panel now, and let's just discuss the fact that we're at this point, and it could go lower. We don't know what's going to happen, but I don't see a positive on the horizon for Disney. So, gentlemen, what do we think is causing this? And do we see any chance that this gets reversed near term?
And I just want to point out really quick that we are not offering financial advice to any of our viewers or anyone on this panel.
That's right. Seek out your own financial advisor in your local area, someone who is trusted, someone who has accreditation, and someone who you believe will help you gain more money. That's not us.
Hopefully somebody that's not selling tacos out of their swap meet index.
Well, now we're not talking about Mike today, okay? Leave his rabbit chicken tacos out of this.
Oh, we miss Mike, but yeah, he's not here today.
But he was on the channel yesterday. But guys, what's going on with this stock? I mean, and maybe this is more broad.
Maybe we should rephrase it.
Maybe this is the overall perception of the company.
Yes, we're talking. We'll talk about the company as opposed to the stock to ease it up a little bit here, so no one has to worry about market capitalization, which is horrendous, anyways, right now.
Gonna defer to Alan because it's math.
Okay, again, I'm not an expert in finances, but I will tell you, well, the Walt Disney Company is a company that is not inspiring in any way. Why would you invest in this company at this time? You know, if you put your money into Disney right now, what are they going to do with that? You know, what are the plans they have? You know, the strike is one thing that affects all of the studios, but for Disney especially, you know, even if there was light at the end of the tunnel and that the strike would end tomorrow, where are they at? You know, what projects are we looking forward to? What theme park ride are we looking forward to? You know, right now the only reason to travel to Orlando is to visit Universal Studios. You know, and there's exciting news there. There's something at least you're looking forward to there. So you know, this reminds me of the time before Iger came on, when Michael Eisner was essentially just holding on to his money and doing nothing with the Disney company. He fired Roy, you know, and Roy had started putting the battle piece together to kind of take him down, but there's no one doing that right now. So I mean, ultimately that's the question: is why would I want to invest money in this company other than to acquire it? To maybe put a dent and maybe get a seat on the board. So that's, you know, I this is the least excited I've ever been for Disney in a very long time.
Well,
that's a great point.
You make a really good point, Alan. I wanted to say something about that Eisner thing. I was thinking about the other day, the fact that Eisner, at the end of his tenure, it wasn't financial so much. It was the fact that he was just diminishing the brand. Roy Disney came after him because he was having too much financial success in selling all of these low-grade, straight-to-DVD sequels to Disney properties, but they were still making money.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, the damage has been done to the brand, but now they can't seem to get out of their own way in order to actually bring people into here. There are people spending money. We see it at Universal Studios Florida. We see it at Universal Studios Anaheim. Is that Hollywood?
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Studio City. Yeah.
So,
well, so let's talk about for a moment though why exactly perhaps audiences have soured on this company. I mean, it's one thing to say that it's unexciting, but I have sort of this thesis about the general atmosphere that Disney has created for itself on the inside that has then sort of percolated out into the broader public, and now the broader public is not so excited about them. So I want to take a look at a video that Drunk 3PO put out. Jay put this out, and I've asked Jay, is it okay if we show this video? In fact, we'll go to the full screen so we can play it without being blocked at all. But I asked Jay if we could play about 30 seconds of this. And folks, if you're not yet subscribed to Drunk 3PO, well, what are you doing? He's got 75,000 subscribers, and folks, you could be the ones who help him get to that 100,000 subscriber mark. Let's make it happen. But we're going to watch about 30 seconds of this video where he reveals that Rachel Zegler, who is the new Snow White, and she's out there basically coming across kind of crazy. I mean, she's talking about how, you know, it's difficult living inside her brain. She's talking about how Prince Charming is a stalker and all this kind of thing. Well, it turns out that this is the same Rachel Zegler that attacked Gina Carano when everybody was kind of dogpiling her from a particular point of view. So let's watch about 30 seconds of this. And folks, make sure you go check out the full video on Drunk's channel after this show ends.
It wasn't that long ago when Snow White actress Rachel Zegler attacked Gina Carano online and sent her fan base.
Are you guys getting audio on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very low. It's very low.
To attack her because Gina would not put pronouns in her bio. Shout out Data Racer 117 for keeping all the receipts. Remember that? Beep, bop, boop. They just caused such a stir, such a controversy. Rachel was out there. Don't make fun of pronouns. How dare you? Look at this person making fun of pronouns. You know, let's all go love on Pedro Pascal because he puts pronouns in bio.
All right, so folks, you can check out the full video when you go to Drunk's channel. But I think this is sort of indicative of what we're witnessing from, you know, from the Disney company as it currently stands. Here is a woman they've now put in charge of rebooting perhaps their most important princess of all time, right? Snow White is what set the company in its trajectory. Without Snow White, the Walt Disney Company doesn't become what it is. And this woman that they've put in charge of it she's out there. She is sort of the, what would you say, the antithesis of everything that people loved about Gina Carano. Gina Carano had to go. Rachel Zegler is the kind of person that Disney apparently wants. And I think that these kinds of decisions and personnel decisions that Disney is making, I think that this is all sort of culminating in audiences anywhere from the middle to the right saying, apparently I'm not welcome at this company. And so that's sort of my idea of what's going on here. Perhaps. I don't know. Culture, what do you make of this? Do you think Disney has driven away maybe even 50% of its audience?
Oh, I would say substantially more than that. I think they've captured a new segment of audience at the expense of the vast majority of their audience. I think you're finding more and more people disgusted with various aspects of the corporation, whether or not it's just from a simple theme park visit to obviously the revelations around the Reimagined Tomorrow and all the doctrine that came along with that, and eventually separated people from their jobs based on political ideology. I think that as the public becomes more and more aware, I think their disgust shows, and it's showing physically in various ways. Obviously, theme park attendance is down. Obviously, consumption of their products is down. Obviously, the backlash to that, everything that they've been doing is actually up, and it's getting well undeniable that they've lost a substantial portion of their audience. And again, I think it's greater than 50%, bro. I do.
And so Gina Carano, of course, was her views were unacceptable. Disney drove her away.
Yeah.
That seems to have been at least a significant part of this downfall of Disney, where people stopped having any trust of the company whatsoever. They brought Rachel Zegler in, and I'm not here to be overly harsh with this young woman. I frankly think that this is the fault of the, what would you say, the Hollywood machinery that has thrust this young woman into the spotlight, and she doesn't seem to handle that well. Now, maybe she is a malignant narcissist, and maybe she really believes these things and is abrasive, and maybe she's happy in being abrasive. But it seems to me that she would be best served to have a publicist, a media handler, someone helping her navigate, because perhaps the reason Disney stock is so low is that they are aligning themselves with people who believe things like what Rachel Zegler is saying. Let's take a look at this video that she is now out there with. And here we have what she thinks about her current movie, Snow White, that she's working on, and Prince Charming. Take a look and listen to this.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no Prince, or a different kind of Prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yep. It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's hot.
All right, so let's go to Alan again. Alan. Wow. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to watch, honestly.
It is. No, clearly no one prepped her for this. She's talking like a Gen Z, and she's fully embracing that. The thing that struck me, and I put a tweet about it yesterday, but it is, the Walt Disney Company is celebrating 100 years, and guess who's not invited to the party? Walt Disney, for some reason. For her to say what she said, to trash on the legacy of Walt Disney, to trash on the first animated feature ever made ever. Is just disrespectful to me. And I get it. She's young. She hasn't lived 100 years. But the idea that Walt Disney has been removed from the picture for this company, it's gotten to the point. What bothers me the most about this is that not only is she trashing Walt Disney, but the Walt Disney Company isn't defending him either. They're not bringing him up. They're not referring to his legacy. I can't remember. I don't think they've produced anything that talks about Walt Disney the man and the company he built. They're just celebrating the number 100. And and at some point, there's going to come a day when you just feel like they're going to cancel him. They're just going to go through his past, pull up Song of the South, and tell him he's a racist, and we're going to get rid of the guy. And so, you know, there's a lot of wisdom in age, and I wish the Walt Disney Company could unfreeze Walt Disney and kind of pull some of the wisdom from him and get this company back on track.
Well, Alan, I think what I'm hearing from you is that you don't think that Prince Charming was a stalker. Is that fair to say?
No, I mean, look, whatever happened to falling in love? That's what stories were back in the day. You know, romance and love used to be an emotion that we all embraced and loved and wanted to see in our stories. And that's why Walt Disney put it in there. And yeah, Walt Disney made a scary story too with Snow White. You know, this is the thing I keep harping on with the Walt Disney Company. Why don't they want to make money anymore? Why don't they want to make movies that audiences want to see? You know,
what a great question.
I was at the Walt Disney Museum over a year ago, and when you do that walking tour of his life, what you realize is that at every point in his life, up until his death, he was practically on the verge of bankruptcy. Snow White, he couldn't complete Snow White. He had to go to the bank. I think it was Chase. He had to go to the bank to get a loan to pay for it. They weren't going to do it until he showed them the work in progress Snow White, and then they finally gave him the money. But you know, the guy knew that if he couldn't produce hits, he was going to lose his company. He was going to lose financially, and he was going to have nothing. Walt Disney Company today does not fear failure, and that's why we're getting the trash. And to get back to why is the stock so down, they're not making products people want to buy. You know, and ultimately, if you want your stock price to go up, you have to bring in money to justify that. You know, these are investments. The idea that I invest in your company, you produce something that the masses want, and then my investment grows. And you're going to get into a story with the strike about it, but that applies here as well, in terms of maybe they're too big. And
Alan, I think it's important to take note of what you said about Walt. Perhaps one of the most amazing things about his life, and you know, it's not like you can say someone who did all that he did lived an unassuming life. He did amazing things, but the way that he managed it was he bet the farm repeatedly. Right? He went all in at the poker table. He bet it all over and over and over. And he seems to have won over and over and over. And so that's really, I think, what is so tremendous about, what he was able to accomplish. I don't know how much luck was involved. I don't know how much providence perhaps was involved, but the man was, he was uncanny at pulling off the big bets and winning with them. So tremendous story there. And hopefully he will be revered into the future, because I think he did things that are worth revering at least a little bit. You know, that the experiences that so many families have had walking down Main Street together, I don't think should be tossed away. And that's a wrap again, folks. We hope you enjoyed it, though. If you did, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and click it, stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. The conversation here has come to a close, but the commentary begins. We care about your comments. We covet your thoughts. Drop one down below and let us know what you have to say about this situation. When do you think Disney will get the message? How much worse can it possibly get? We're at the threshold, I believe, as Clark Griswold said. But the threshold of what? We don't yet know. Will they steer this thing away from the iceberg? Only time will tell. And folks, as we head out, we'll say what we always say, and we mean it truly. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.